Call to order, 6:32. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, on roll call, Mr. Bartlett.
Here.
Mrs. Graves.
Here.
Dr. Lewis.
Here.
All right, Kelly's not here, Joe's not here. Mr. York.
Here.
All right, I need a motion and a second to excuse both Joe Stelzer and Kelly Rankin.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Mr. Bartlett.
Aye.
Mrs. Graves.
Aye.
Dr. Lewis.
Aye.
Mr. York.
Aye.
All right, we'll excuse them just this one time.
You're feeling generous tonight.
All right, everybody had a look at the minutes, for not only the minutes from the last meeting, but the special, the minutes from the special council on the October the 28th.
Yep.
Any questions? We all good with the minutes? Hearing no objections, I need a motion and a second.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Bartlett,
Aye.
Mrs. Graves.
Aye.
Dr. Lewis.
Aye.
Mr. York.
Aye.
All right, we'll accept those minutes. All right, moving on to communications. First thing up, I believe, is Chief Hines's report. Y'all looked it over. Do you have any questions? Chief, do you want to make any comments about it?
No, sir.
You good? Okay. All right, the building department's monthly report. I think it's just a one page, right, Bob? Just-
2 pages. Here's one page, it's a dot.
Okay. Anybody have any questions regarding the way that it's laid out?
So Rod is fully employed?
I'll let him speak for himself. I started on Monday, but I'm not sure it's been officially
Yeah, it's,
blessed by this group.
we're transitioning. He's sort of in the learning process. There's going to be about I don't know, 3 week or thereabouts overlap.
He's doing a great job.
But tonight, Randy, we're voting on appointing him.
Right.
Okay.
We won't have enough to do the emergency,
You're right.
so there'll be one
We'll
reading.
just have the first reading tonight. All right, that was the building department's report. The service department's report. John? Nothing at this time. I understand leaf collection is well underway.
They are very thorough so far this
The-
year. Maybe it's because we haven't had as much
The leaves
leaves
aren't
dropping.
cooperating.
Yeah.
Yeah, leaves aren't cooperating.
Last year by this time, this year it's starting to slow, so after December, they're on their own. Holding the stand.
All right, on,
Are we going to cover the spending request?
yeah, I was just going to say, on the back of that or attached or something, we have the new spending request form, and this is going to be a new procedure or policy that we're going to institute around here. This is an example of one for, I think it's for a new engine for one of our vehicles, correct, John? Yeah.
For 2012.
2012. And the way this will work is that the department heads will institute this, they'll fill out what it is. This would be considered non-emergency spending, but it would be spending that wasn't ordinarily allotted. You know, something that comes up, like an engine goes, and, you know, we have to replace it. So y'all can look at have y'all looked at it? Any questions about that form? How it's gonna work?
No, I think this is great that Allison and Joni
Kind
have
of put
helped
it
put this
together.
together, new process. I think it'll be really good to have, so.
Yeah. And then there was sort of an explanation page someplace. Oh, I guess.
That's
I
it.
guess
Right after.
That's it.
that's it, yeah. Because this doesn't preclude emergency purchases, you know, that the mayor could authorize, given that there's, you know, some type of a natural disaster, a man-made calamity, anything that would be deemed important to secure the village. I would have the authority to, or the mayor would have the authority to authorize that purchase. Chief?
Or a piece of emergency equipment that cannot wait for to come to council, then that would also be okay to go ahead and, with your approval, to replace or fix.
Well,
Piece of emergency, I mean,
equipment.
equipment that can't wait, that we, you know.
equipment, life-saving, yes, equipment, I would think could fall under something like that. Like a vehicle, however, though, I don't think a vehicle could we wouldn't want to be buying a vehicle on an emergency or something
I
that
understand,
quick.
I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about if they, say, there's a repair that needs to be made.
Oh, a repair, yeah, of course.
That exceeds
Oh, of course.
$5,000.
Yeah, of course.
That doesn't have to wait for
Right.
council's approval.
We could proceed with it, the mayor could authorize it, we would proceed with it, and then it would be brought before council at the next meeting.
I understand.
Yeah,
I just wanted to make sure that that was how I was understanding that.
yeah, that's how it works. Yeah, I mean, you can't foresee what's going to happen, the mayor has to have the ability to protect the village. Yeah. All right, Deanna's report, any questions there? If you do, I guess you can stop down and see her tomorrow.
Numbers are good.
Yeah, the numbers
I
are
mean,
looking a
they're
little bit better.
double last year. Is
Yeah.
that an anomaly, or?
Well, I did talk to Deanna earlier today, and I asked her if I missed, like, was there a tax deadline that moved or something? I didn't think so, and she said, no, everything's same as it was last year, but, last year was the COVID, and people, she doesn't really know for sure, but people were just out of work, and more people are working now, and people are now, last year, it was like temporary, where the city of Cincinnati still was withholding taxes, and now I think people are more permanent at home. So this hasn't all shaken out yet, but looks like it's something that we could, we might be taking in more money here.
Yeah, I
going
mean,
forward, so.
it's almost double of 19 as well.
I
So
know. Yeah.
I think I
So
like
I said,
this. These
I
are
think-
good
I
trends.
think some of the bigger companies are withholding Mariemont now instead of Cincinnati because that's their place of work, and that's what they've been instructed to do by the governor, I believe. So.
I thought through the end of this year, it still is in effect, that legislation they passed.
Yeah, but she said the bigger companies have already.
They're doing it?
Changed it, yeah, they're already, yeah.
Oh, good.
So, I mean, she's done some research on it. She doesn't know for sure how this is all gonna fold out yet, but she thinks it's gonna keep going like this, so that's great.
Yeah, it's great, yeah, it's great. All right, then Eli's report as well. Tony, any comments about that?
Yeah, just real quick. Let me get to it. All right, so general fund, this year is 408, last year was only 284, but like we just talked about, we got the extra 119,000 in the earnings tax. Overall, receipts were 476 last year, 439 this year, but last year we did get some COVID money in of 127,000, so that reconciles that. We're still off by $10,000, $15,000. And expenses were pretty close, 331 this year versus 387. But this year, we spent a lot more money on the permanent improvements on some streets and Murray Path that we didn't last year. And the general fund spending was about the same, just
Well,
up
is
a
some of
little
that
bit.
Murray Path expense yet to be reimbursed?
I'm not sure where that stands for sure as far as reimbursement. I don't think, I know like the donations that Joe keeps talking about has not come in yet.
Well, I know that the village fronts some of that money, to pay a bill, and then, of course, then it's reimbursed, or the reimbursement comes
Yeah, and
in.
then
I don't know for
ODNR
sure
yet hasn't been
where we
reimbursed
are
yet.
in that, Chris.
Yeah.
One more reimbursement coming in for ODNR.
Okay.
I don't expect to see it though until next year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I need another invoice from Pinnacle or from Raymond.
Yes.
I can process another reimbursement, but it'll take probably until next year before we get it.
Okay. And then we're done with Pinnacle, is that right? I mean, there was two things remaining, right?
They've got 3 punch list items. We have the 2 bollards at either end to install, one inside, one at Plainville. We have the parking lot striping,
Yeah.
and there's some signs to be put up. The small stop signs at the trail where they intersect Edith and Laney, and then there's one more sign that has to be put up for pedestrian use.
Okay.
So those are the 3 items in the punch list.
Well, I mean, are they, where are they on that? Are they,
So I sent them an email Thursday saying, hey, good weather this week, get scheduled if you can.
Yeah.
Tom's got a meeting with the Pinnacle representative on Friday. So I'm sure that'll come up. So
Dollars, they got in with the wrong ones. They shipped them the wrong ones.
oh,
So they have to go back and get that. The First Star company that they subcontracted out for the signage, the guy went in and put all the hoops tickets in March. But that guy has since left that company and went somewhere else, so they're trying to figure out where he left off and what was going on with that. So I'm in touch with them as well.
yeah. Okay. So, I mean, that is proceeding, and that should be kind of wrapping up here, right? So then we'll be able to finalize whatever invoice, whatever we're due them. And I know there's going to be some credited money back, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
pretty much.
Okay.
So I think the maximum payment we owe them, including retainage, is like $17,000. So then we would pay them that,
Uh-huh.
and we would get 75% of that back.
Yeah, back. Yeah, okay. And then, I hate
So,
to kind of. go
Bill,
ahead,
did
Randy.
we get the Columbia Township and the private fundraising contributions? Are those already in?
Oh, they're in.
They're in.
Yeah.
Okay, they've been in, okay.
Well,
Well, I think to your point, Tony, I think Columbia Township's definitely, and I don't- you'd said earlier, I don't know that the private.
Yeah, I talked to Eli about that, and she said that has not come in yet.
Okay, so
But the
that's
Columbia
70
Township, 80,000 from last year.
75.
75, okay.
So, I'm sorry, that has or has not?
Has come
Has.
It
in.
has.
Came in 2020.
okay. And then just one quick point. What are we doing about the new water valves that come up out of the ground, you know, and make the loop and go back down? I mean, now that the cold weather is upon us, how are we going to keep that from freezing?
So, my understanding is they're already bled.
Well, they're watering right now, so we'll drain it, and then we'll blow out the line. Matt Aaron's talking to somebody about making boxes to put over the top of
Are we
it.
going to get them lowered? We don't know.
Probably not. You have to have at least 18 to 24 inches off the ground by code. So I have to measure, see where they are. They can lower them just a little bit, but not that much.
Well, I mean, yeah, they still got to be 18 inches off the ground, because,
We may put a union on the one copper line, that way we can take the whole section off at the winter time.
yeah, because as I understand it, it's really not a freezing issue. That, well, I mean, if it freezes, it's bad. But I think there's a theft issue on those valves. Those are very expensive valves. Yeah, it's not the brass that they're after. They want the valve itself. So I guess we're aware of that. Okay.
That's just public now, thank you.
It's a crime. It's a crime to go over there and steal those valves.
And we have security cameras in the area.
We have camera. All right, everybody seen Assistant Fire Chief Dan Copeland's report?
Yes.
Any questions regarding that? None? No? All right, at this time, I want to mention, Dan and I have been having a discussion regarding the backup ambulance, the used ambulance. We are discussing the probability of potentially selling that, and we have had a couple of inquiries about it. It just seems that we're in an environment right now where used equipment like that commands somewhat of a premium because of supply chain issues and other things. You know, they're hard to get. New ones are very expensive. So we are sort of announcing here that we're going to be pursuing that.
So are we going to put it out to broader bid then,
Well,
too,
I
to
don't-
Joe's point when they had before? Or?
I don't know. I don't know.
You probably should, Bill.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't need it. We're not
How
gonna
much
need
is it worth?
Never, never, ever.
Well, that's part of what we're doing is gathering comps to determine,
Sure.
on a comparable basis, what was the thing worth, kind of a thing. I will also probably check with that same company that I did on the engine, Fire Tech, to see what they think it's worth, if they were to handle it.
I know, it's good to get comps, totally agree. But I really think we ought to follow a process, because Ed, you
I do
told
too.
it that was part of the ORC type of thing about.
Right,
they were
it sure
supposed
is,
to do
yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah, I do agree with that. I mean, I think the Park Hills thing was a little bit different, because we had the request right here and now, and we knew it was a good deal, but if we're contemplating selling it, Bill, you probably should get bids.
All right. Well, before we make a firm commitment on that, let's find out what the offer is, how it compares to the comps.
Oh, do we have somebody's offering already?
Well, we have a tentative conversation going is all we're doing. Because if we're going to be receiving an offer that isn't far in excess of any comp that we can essentially get, you want to move on these things. I don't want to put this out and fiddle around and there goes the deal.
I understand, but we do have enough time right now. You could do something right now to put it out there, right? There's nothing holding us back to put it out there and start to just test of the waters and see if there's anybody else who might be interested too.
We might.
While you continue to do the thing about getting comps, again, I totally agree with that, but it seems like we can get something out there now at least to meet the requirements of ORC about having this stuff, as much as possible out to open bid.
Yeah, as much as possible, but didn't we just pass an ordinance allowing us to sell
That was for-
directly to other?
We did to another, is this to another municipality, government agency? Yeah, we did pass that ordinance, but, again, this is just my opinion, Bill. Good practice would indicate that, here's what I think you should do, is wait and see what Bill comes up with, see what they are. We'll have a pretty good handle on what these things would otherwise be worth, okay? If this company or this municipality is offering us substantially more, then I think we can probably just have a vote of council and go for it that way. If you want to put it out, though, we can.
Well, again, you can put it out now, right? While you're doing this other stuff, it could be running in parallel.
Could, yeah.
I guess, yeah, I guess you could. put
Yeah, and so
some
while we're
feelers
doing it,
out.
And this is not anything, Dan, that's going to go away.
I think, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
Whoever this municipality is, are they hot to trot on it right now?
Kind of, they're in a situation where they kind of need, what we've found, and I think John's finding this as he's gone through his, is where usually when we get a truck or an ambulance built, it usually takes a couple months. For whatever reason, everything's offshore right now, and they push the times back. It also comes down to exactly what you're gonna find out on the 22nd of redoing kind of the plan and taking up and shoring up some of the monies that we have going out in places for insurance, vehicle maintenance.
Do we not use this ambulance at all?
No, I made
Not
3
all?
runs this year with that ambulance, and the very last run, it cost us more than what it's brought in.
It's just interesting though, because originally how we, when we purchased the new one, it was about how much this one is going to also bring in for us. And I guess I was kind of under the impression that it was doing that. So to hear that it's
And I went
not-
back and looked at that. I don't think there was any misleading, but we can't judge what runs are coming in. We're 100 runs above where we were last year at this time. But it comes down to, does it make money? Does it make sense? And it goes to that building off of, what can we do to put back into the general fund and make sure that we're appropriating the funds where they need to go.
And I think another point too, for doing this is that this particular, and correct me if I'm wrong here, this particular model year ambulance with the diesel motor that it has in it has proven to be problematic, I believe.
It's a 6.0 diesel motor that's had numerous recalls. That would be the reason for the replacement that it came out. I think Chief's got a little bit, because he was around for that end.
And that's what I was going to remind everybody on. We had this discussion, and I think actually Mr. Bartlett even recommended that we kind of keep track of the runs that we're making with the backup ambulance. And we've done that, and the whole idea was that we were going to do that for a year or so and then come back and relook, is it really profitable? And obviously, we've seen that it's not really profitable for us to keep it. The plus side of it is if our new ambulance goes out for repairs, we do have a backup. But thankfully, we've got a couple other fire companies that when that's happened in the past, that we've been able to go and borrow an ambulance from them, one of their spare ambulances or whatever. So we do have that relationship with a couple of fire companies in the area. So, what it's come down to is we found out what we were looking for. Does this make sense for us to keep it? And it really doesn't. So we can sell it, and like Assistant Chief Copeland said, bring some money back in to offset maybe some needs that we will have going forward.
Yeah.
I applaud you guys for doing that. I think it's great you've done the analysis, because you're right, Chief. Yeah, we had that whole thing about let's track and see,
Correct.
is it covering the cost or not?
Correct,
So
and
that's
that's
great
what
you've done
we've
that, now
done,
we know. But I just think if, let's go ahead and post it somewhere, so at least
Well,
while
can
we're doing
post
it in parallel.
Yeah, we can post it somewhere. Sure.
So I don't know, do you guys know where you post that kind of stuff, or is there someplace you can?
Yeah. What we've done in the past, actually, the fire pickup truck that we sold, we put it on, what was it, eGov, and then municipalities can go in and, we can put a reserve on it or whatever. This is what the reserve is, and employees or other municipalities can go in. Even private ambulance companies can go in and bid on it. And then either the bid comes in to where we're satisfied in selling it, and if it doesn't meet the reserve, we can decline. The other side to that is there is a percentage that we have to pay
Right.
eGovs to sell it.
Well, but it's like you said, if we have this other municipality that wants to buy it from us and they just do it directly, we can decline the
Yeah,
eGov and go with that too, so.
We can put it, we can advertise it out there, for a short period of time, see what we get. If
Yeah.
we get a bite, we, don't get anything, then we probably know we're onto something. And as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong on this one, they only want the box.
They don't want the box.
Yeah, see, so it's not like,
They don't want the diesel.
Well, that makes
don't want the
sense.
diesel either.
So they've got other equipment that's compatible with that?
Yeah, so
Okay.
what they're gonna do, and this is
Yeah.
what we're gonna do, is it's a remount thing. So where the cost is on your ambulance is in the custom-made box on the back. The front, we can go down to Beechmont Ford to anywhere.
Get a
buy the
chassis,
front,
yeah.
They pick it up, they put it on the other one. Well, with the way times have been going and prices and
Oh, yeah, the
everything
used
being
market.
inflated and up, that's been a more doable option. I came from Indianapolis where we did that every so many years to whatever piece of equipment so that we didn't show up in 13 years and ask for $1.9 million for a new fire truck.
Yeah.
So we tried to stay up on it.
Sure.
One of the big things that Chief and I have came up with is, once we get this back to a manageable pieces of equipment that we have in the basement, our maintenance that we can regularly do, we'll then be able to pick up on that. And then as time goes on, forecasting out and seeing where we need to come to you guys and ask for certain monies as that, and lay out a framework and a plan for ongoing with your fire department,
Yeah.
police departments, and everything.
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
forward. So that's kind of where the change in the administrations of some of the things that we're doing between what we've had with the two other assistant fire chiefs that were going on. It's been a cost to make sense, and right now, I think we've got a couple little things out there. Once we take care of that, I think you'll be very surprised on what we can put back into the community.
Right, okay, okay.
Who posted on eGov? Do you guys just go ahead and do that then?
Yeah, we can make that happen.
Well, try to get it out then, like, quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, because,
All right.
you know, there's other expenses.
Thank you.
Having that thing sit there.
Sure, sure.
You know,
Yeah.
medicines.
Well, again, you can do a lot of these things in parallel, because you're doing the comp analysis, or whoever's doing the comp, and I'm
we
guessing,
got a
you're
bunch
not.
of them right here.
Yeah, so I think, you do all these things in parallel, post it out, do the comp,
All right.
have this other.
We
so-
started looking at that before we, right away, just so that we kind of had an idea, what,
Yeah.
what basically a good
We're even
price
in the
would be
ballpark on it,
for
you
us.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
All right,
Thanks,
thank
chief.
you.
Thanks. Thanks, Dan. All right, the last thing in communications, we have a supporting document from Mr. Van Stone regarding some expenses that were put together. Do we have any questions regarding that? No?
So Kramer's coming in next council.
Yes.
So following that, we'll put together a comprehensive report and put it somewhere so that the next time this comes up, we'll have all of that. Yes? Okay.
Well, I think one of the things in the next meeting also is the recommendations that Kramer's come up with Assistant Fire Chief Copeland and stuff like
We're
that.
So
gonna let
you had a hand in
speak.
those recommendations? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he'll get up and he'll address some of the, kind of the.
Those questions.
The questions or the finer points in his report. Yeah.
And that's you and you guys worked on it collectively. Okay.
It's that collectively and talking to this body and looking for what's the best. And now that we make this decision, how do we move forward of making sure that we're still the star of the area and what's best for our citizens and our community, and offering different things that we can do, but also looking at taking away some of that cost. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I know it looks like everything moved a little bit quick, but for me, this has been going on for 7 months, and I've had 7 months to stew on how we can cut back and make ourselves more reliable. So,
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be good. All right, permission to address council. No takers. All right. All right, motion to pay the bills. Everybody looked at the bills?
I had a question. So.
Sure.
I thought in the last meeting, didn't we say we were gonna cut off for the refund of the trash stickers on October 11th or something?
Well, yes, we did say that, and then there was a little bit of a hiccup with that,
What was the adjective?
a hiccup.
Hiccup.
Okay.
We, the date that we put in on that, for some reason, we decided it had to be moved or something. We
Right.
moved it, did we move it a week?
We pushed
Yeah,
it back just
yeah.
for the
Yeah,
ordinance.
the ordinance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a definite date in the ordinance, and what I believe we have paid out the last batch of stickers.
Okay. It
Yes.
should be done then.
Yeah, it should be done.
Except for what's in my garage.
That's memorabilia for you now. You got memorabilia to keep.
You can give it to MPF.
Oh, yeah, it's fine.
You can give it to MPF.
I just,
Okay, so any other question regarding the bills? Andy? No? All right.
Am I supposed to have a question?
Well, just making sure we're all awake.
So the Fred Newman Company, 86,000, was that Petoskey still?
Yes, that's the last payment that we'll make on that project, and then the rest of the 5,000 from the Public Works Commission, and that'll close it out.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, let's have a motion and a second then to pay the bills.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Mr. Bartlett.
Aye.
Mrs. Graves.
Aye.
Dr. Lewis.
Aye.
Mr. York.
Aye.
Did we officially vote on John's request?
Oh, for the.
No, you did not.
Well, I guess
So we
did
should do
not.
that.
Yeah, I guess we should.
For
Are we
the-
going to vote, or are we just going to have a show of hands? Do you want, I mean, we can
Let's do a roll call vote.
just do a roll call vote.
I'm guessing there's not much of an option besides fixing it, correct?
John, is there an option to, other than buying a new engine for that truck, to fixing it, or?
Put a new engine in.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, can it, I guess, obviously it can't be repaired.
No,
No, the repair is the new engine.
there's a new engine.
Yeah, okay.
So that's real. I thought it was a for example.
Yeah, it's a second truck. Is that a diesel too? Yeah,
2012s and 16s are the ones where we're having all the issues.
yeah. But we're putting another diesel back in it instead of converting it to a gas. I think you and I talked about that. It's too, yeah, it can't be done. Yeah.
And the cost, I mean, comparative to upgrading to, not to a brand-new truck, but to a newer truck, does it still make sense to do
Well, a
so?
newer truck is, a brand new truck's $97,000. If you can find a used one out there, I don't know that I want to go back to diesel, especially if they're in that age frame. So, because they have a death wobble issues. We've had issues with the exhaust system, The other truck, we haven't had any. This guy's 46,000. That one, that just went out the other day after the test pulled in. So the other one, we had 26,000 miles on it. So,
We only had 26,000 miles and we're buying a new motor for this thing? Jeez. God.
so I don't know if the death wobble has something to do with that or not. They say no.
Yeah.
They have trouble in the front end, because that's what the death wobble is.
Yeah. And these are Ford products, correct?
Yes. So I reached out to Ford. One guy says, really, they're not doing anything at this time. It's not a big, it's only a few selected issues. If you go on the internet, man, everybody seems like they're having problems.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
I think there's gonna be a recall, maybe get some money back.
Back, okay.
Versus this for Sewell.
Happy to. Makes me happy.
Just going to do a roll call.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Bartlett.
Sound like you hate.
Aye.
Mrs. Graves.
Aye.
Dr. Lewis.
Aye.
Mr. York.
Aye.
All right, buy a new motor. All right, what's up next? I guess, Avia, a couple of your reports, correct?
Wait a minute, was that a vote to pay the bills or to
We did
approve
that.
John's
We
request?
already paid the bills.
You're gonna do that, you did? I'm gonna slip through that one, sorry.
We had a motion, a second to pay the bills.
Did we?
Yes.
This is just to okay the spending
Okay.
for the motor. Yeah. Unless I don't think I missed it today. I don't think so. Wake up over there.
I'm trying.
All right.
Somebody start a fight, get something interesting here.
All right, Tony, you good with Avia's report?
Yes, from the
Yes.
Safety Committee regarding crosswalk lighting. The Safety Committee met on October 25th, 2021 at 5:15 PM. Present at the meeting were Committee Chairman Avia Graves, committee members Randy York and Kelly Rankin, Village Superintendent John Schippenberg, Chief Rick Hines, Mayor Bill Brown, and village residents Ron Ross. The meeting began at 5:15 PM to discuss lighting for crosswalks on Worcester Pike. After analysis was conducted, there is not sufficient lighting at the crossing of West Street at Plainville Street. The committee recommends we increase the wattage at both of these intersections. If the additional wattage does not give sufficient lighting to light up the crosswalk, an additional light should be added at West Street, cost approximately $3,500. In addition, we identified a few lights on Worcester that appear to have duct tape on the inside of them or are extremely dirty. That's Oak and Worcester as an example. It is the recommendation of the committee that these lights be cleaned and any duct tape be removed. Respectively submitted and signed by Avia Graves and Randy York.
All right, you've heard the report. I need a motion and a second to accept the report.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All right, any discussion regarding this? John, have you looked into these lights? Do we know where
The one at Plainville, or west of Worcester Pike, we have to put a new head on that one.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, you can't, the light bulb that we have won't be sufficient.
So that one,
So that one's gonna have to have.
I mean, we haven't done that yet. I mean, it's.
No, we
yeah,
haven't,
yeah.
we've got them in stock, but we haven't done it.
Okay, okay. And it's, obviously it's our light, not Duke's.
Correct.
Okay.
what about the one at, the Plainville crossing Worcester?
I don't know if he got to that one yet.
Okay.
We got the ones by Swisher, the Patriot. We did the one, we got AMS coming in, the one checking the square.
Yeah, because I think there's
No
still
electric.
two out at the square, I think, when I was walking over to
Yeah,
my.
the PNC is off and on. We don't know if it's the sensors, so we gotta get a new sensor for that one. The one in the square has, something's wrong with the electric there. We're showing it down below, but not much on top. And then, got this one done yet or not? So, but he's been in and out doing those.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see with the one on Plainville, because it actually has 3 crosswalks, 2 that cross
Right.
Worcester, but 1 that crosses Plainville with 1
We're
light.
trying to get it
Yeah.
bright enough to
Right.
show it to Randy's house.
That's a different one, but, no, just enough to, like, if you walk down Worcester, which we did, Kelly and I, and Gordon walked, down Worcester, and, I mean, you can clearly, every other one, you can clearly see where there are pedestrians in the crosswalk.
Yeah.
These 2, you cannot. So that's really the issue, and I mean, like, I think I've mentioned before, almost having seen someone get hit in the crosswalk at night just because it's not illuminated, I think will make, big difference. And the other ones, it's just a matter of, there are just a couple that maybe could be a little bit better, and it looks like maybe they had some duct tape, or they were dirty or some point. Maybe we just clean them up and.
Are they LED lighting?
No.
Is there a way to make that switch? If we're putting a whole new head on the thing, I mean, is it,
Well, that's a different type.
it's a different type, well, I mean, would
We have
it,
to do ballast and everything else.
oh,
You have to change your ballast.
yeah, that ballast gets you every time. All right, well, at least we're moving into it. All right, on roll call, Mr. Bartlett.
Aye.
Mrs. Graves.
Aye.
Dr. Lewis.
Aye.
Mr. York.
Aye.
All right.
And that can come off the agenda.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, Tony, next.
Next one, on the Safety Committee regarding speed table, Miami Road. Safety Committee met on October 25th, 2021 at 5:15 PM. Present at the meeting were Committee Chairman Avi Graves, Committee Members Randy York and Kelly Rankin, Village Superintendent John Schuppenberg, Chief Rick Hines, Mayor Bill Brown, and Village Resident Ron Ross. The meeting began at 5:15 PM to discuss placement of speed table on Miami Road. The residents of Miami Road wanted the placement of the grooves in the pavement to slow cars to be placed in Indian Hill. Indian Hill has declined. Committee feels continued police presence and speed signs continue to have an impact on speed reduction and will continue these measures. Respectively submitted and signed by Avi Graves, Chairman, and Randy York. Oh,
All right.
Randy, you want to sign that?
All right, you've heard the report. Do I have a motion and a second to accept the report?
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? I think we've talked this.
I mean, I kept it pretty brief. Obviously, there has been a lot of discussion on this topic for a very long time, and I just labeled it speed tables because that was what was actually the committee name. And I couldn't remember the name of the grooves, so, rumple strips, thank you. So I just called them grooves in placement, but that is what we're talking about. And so, the last where it stood, it had been closed off of committee because we'd made the decision that we were gonna put those in upon placement, agreement of the residents and the village, et cetera. And so that placement determined that where everybody wanted to put them was in Indian Hill, which Indian Hill has declined. They said they put them in once on what, do you remember what street?
Kugler Mill.
Kugler Mill?
And then in Camp Dennison.
Yeah,
They
and,
took them out in a week.
Yeah.
Because of the complaints.
Why the noise?
Yeah.
Or the, that, yeah, that,
Yeah, the noise they generate.
yeah.
It's unfortunate it is allowed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of conversations with chief and even most recently, I mean, we do feel like the measures that we have in place, are working and, it's a hill, it's.
I know I would like to pursue or continue that discussion with Indian Hill about getting that flashing yellow light up there. I know that's kind of who's paying and so on and so forth. I don't really want to let that drop. I'd like to, you and I, or, we can,
Keep it going.
yeah, try to keep it going.
Next
Yeah.
year or something like that.
Yeah.
We
there's-
split payment on that. We split payment on that.
We split, yeah, on the electric? Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
think,
we
yeah.
have an ordinance back from 1961.
Yeah, uh-huh,
Split the electrical bill.
yeah, Well, I'm for splitting the electric bill. I want them
Oh,
to
really?
split the cost of replacing the thing. As I understand it, it's kind of expensive.
Even better, about $9,000.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, okay, $9,000, that's the cost of 3 of those flashing speeding signs that we put up, right, chief? What do those things cost? Those things are 33 or so $100, right?
3,500.
Oh, okay. So,
No, I think it makes sense.
you know, I mean, it's, doesn't seem like a lot of money than that flashing yellow light. I can remember it, like I said, I don't want to say from being a kid, but being a teenager, coming down that hill, and you could see that, you know, and if it got you thinking just the teeniest bit, so. All right, on roll call, Mr. Bartlett.
Aye.
Mrs. Graves.
Aye.
Dr. Lewis.
Aye.
Mr. York.
Aye.
All right, Tony, the last one, please.
That comes off too, Avia?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Or are these going to come off?
Yes.
They all, okay,
Barring anything that comes from this, yes.
excellent.
All right, also from the Safety Committee regarding parking spot Murray Avenue and Homewood Road. The Safety Committee met on October 25th, 2021 at 5:15 PM. Present at the meeting were Committee Chairman Avia Graves, Committee members Randy York and Kelly Rankin, Village Superintendent John Schippenberg, Chief Rick Hines, Mayor Bill Brown, and Village Resident Ron Ross. The meeting began at 5:15 PM to discuss the parking spot on Murray Avenue and Homewood Road. A request was made to allow an additional parking space that was removed at this corner. Originally, the space was removed when Murray was a two-way street. The committee feels that we can reinstate this spot as a compact car only. Respectively submitted and signed by Avi Graves, Chairman, and Randy York.
Got it.
So,
Well, hold on a minute. Did you read the thing about the parking on West Street, too?
He's going in order.
there's still 2 more reports
We got
after
2
this
more to
one.
go.
Oh, okay. Huh, sorry.
Okay, so we need a motion and a
All right.
second to accept,
To
and then
accept
we'll have discussion.
Moved.
Second.
Discussion?
I mean, we went and looked
We went
at
over,
it.
we looked at it, we stood there, we fully all agree, pretty much. Chief agrees,
Yep,
John agrees,
yep.
that a smaller car parked there does not pose any kind of a hazard in any way. I mean, you can clearly see, you know, if you just nudge out like we all would do. And, you know, parking being tight over there as it is, it's one more spot
Right.
for a small car.
And so once it gets marked, we're gonna just paint it compact car only, and hopefully that will be sufficient to not have to put in another sign. And,
Yeah.
you know, chiefs, folks will just monitor when they're in the area, just to make sure people are abiding. Because if a big truck does park there, it could be difficult, so.
Makes sense.
There's 2 more reports.
I have, 5 reports.
I thought she's got it combined on this one right here. It's combined. The committee recommends on West Street. Huh?
No,
How did
it's a
that get in
different,
there? Is it a separate, we got a separate report for West Street?
yes.
Okay, well, like, I've got them combined on mine, but, all right, it's of no matter. Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Mrs. Graves?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. York?
Aye.
All right, Tony, apparently we have another
All
one.
right, from the Safety Committee regarding invisible fence code requirements. The Safety Committee met on October 25th, 2021 at 5:15 PM. Present at the meeting were Committee Chairman Avi Graves, Committee members Randy York and Kelly Rankin, Village Superintendent John Schippenberg, Chief Rick Hines, Mayor Bill Brown, and Village Resident Ron Ross. The meeting began at 5:15 PM to discuss invisible fence code requirements. The committee feels that we should look at potentially adding legislation so that invisible fences are not in the right-of-way or at a minimum 3 feet back from the sidewalk. The committee doesn't see this as a safety issue, but perhaps one with lines getting cut, et cetera, being in the right-of-way. The committee is referring this to the rules and law to investigate further.
All right, you've heard the report, a motion and a second to accept the report.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion on this?
Yeah, I mean, we had a good discussion about it. You know, we feel like what brought this to my committee was probably a one-time, incident. That typically, with the way these invisible fences work, I mean, your dog can't get anywhere near it before it, starts beeping, But we did think that, from conversations that they get cut a decent amount of the time because they're, within the right of way. So we thought it would be worth looking into, whether or not we need to establish an ordinance.
And Bob, we don't need a building permit to put those in, is that correct?
Well, we do a fence, we do a zoning permit, to make sure the fence is on the lot lines, et cetera.
Right.
I think as we take, redo our fees and take them to Kelly's committee, I guess I'd like a recommendation from council. Should we add in that we should have a zoning permit to install invisible fences? That way we can check, otherwise I don't know how you would ever
Check
check
it, right.
the ordinance.
Yeah, because my only concern about it is if a guy goes ahead and puts the fence in the right of way, and then we come along, or a utility comes along later, they cut it, they break it, they dig it up, then somebody's gonna be all bent out of shape, you know, that, well, you didn't tell me about that, that if you're putting something in the village right of way, you have to be made aware that you might have to move it, or that it might get dug up, correct?
Yeah, I mean, they're very simple to kind of
Yeah,
to
I mean,
fix,
they're
but,
easy enough.
you know, but if
It's just
somebody gets
To avoid a
upset about it.
misunderstanding, you know, with the homeowner.
What would happen is if it's a violation of the code, they would have to go to the planning commission, get a variance to put it in the right of way.
It
You
seems,
say it has to be the property line or 3 feet back. You know, I'm just saying.
Well, you know, I wonder if there can't be an exception made on something like this. I mean, we're talking about a
Then
little
the
wire
ordinance
that we're
should
putting in the ground.
reflect- Then the ordinance should reflect
Yeah.
what we're being asked to zone.
Yeah, I mean, to run somebody into the planning commission, you know, for that fee, to basically say, we just want to make you aware that you're putting in the village right away, maybe you shouldn't be doing that.
Right, and, you know, and maybe,
We
that's
have
why
those issues like that too. and then
Yeah,
we-
yeah.
I'm just saying, however the ordinance is written, we can enforce, but I'm just saying, the only way I know to regulate that is to ask people to get a zoning permit, I don't know, a little bit less than to cover the cost of it.
right.
But, you know, that way they have to submit a drawing of their lot, where it's going, dimensions, you know. If you say, when I mean you, meaning, if council says it can be in the right of way, tell us what the rules are, and that's okay. But if you ask that office, you ask Rod in the near future to do that interpretation, it's real iffy.
Well, okay, I
know,
mean,
and-
this is something I think we, you
it's
know.
going into rules and law.
Right, and that's why I just
Recommendation
suggested, like,
goes
and
to the chief.
and I'm not saying we necessarily need an ordinance. We might not. I mean, how big of an issue is this that comes up? Probably not very much. Is it worth it? I don't know. But that's why I just referred it to rules and law, so Randy can look at it further and determine whether there's a need or not.
Well, and we talked about with varying setbacks and so forth, we don't even know if it's realistic to do an invisible fence on some properties where the setback is so much, it won't work.
Yeah.
So do they not do it? Or do we just write it and say, you can do it, but we're not liable for maintaining it?
Yeah.
You understand that this is on our property, and if it gets cut, that's your responsibility.
And that's all I'm really saying, it's an awareness thing.
You just needed a vehicle, and I would suggest a zoning permit so that people are informed of that.
Fair.
But that's, you know, this is why
Yeah.
it's being referred to Randy's committee, so you guys
Yeah,
can discuss it
okay.
further.
Discuss then.
Okay.
And that's likely the direction we'll go.
Yeah.
We won't say you can't do
no,
it.
no, no. We don't
We'll simply
wanna-
say,
Yeah.
if you do it, it's on you to maintain it
Yeah,
or however
and
it
then-
works.
Yeah,
Right.
Which, that makes sense.
yeah, that's all I'm really saying, yeah. Okay, Mr. Bartlett,
Aye.
Mrs. Graves?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. York?
Aye.
All right. Tony?
All right, also from the Safety Committee, parking on West Street. The Safety Committee met on October 28th, 2021 at 5:15 PM. Present at the meeting were Committee Chairman Avi Graves, Committee Members Randy York and Kelly Rankin, and Mayor Bill Brown. The meeting began at 5:15 PM to discuss parking on West Street. Parking was limited a few years ago so that cars could not park on West Street in front of the condos during the hours of 7 to 9 AM. However, since the streets doesn't have enough space for the two cars to pass when there are cars parked on the road, and the fact that the road backs into a busy intersection at Plainville, we continue to have a problem and a safety issue. Committee recommends that we eliminate parking on West Street in front of the condos. There is plenty of parking on Thorndike, respectively submitted and signed by Avi Graves, Chairman, and Randy York.
Okay, motion and second?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion. I
It's just a
think-
correction, it should
Yeah,
say
it should be
Madisonville, sorry.
Right, not Plainville, right. And I do know from personal experience, almost every morning going through there, those cars that are parked there, it creates a bit of a,
Yeah, and it's not just in the morning, it's all day long. So, you know, we've had several residents complain about it over the course of the last few years, and I think I think it's the right thing to do from a safety perspective, and there's plenty of parking on the other
the
side.
corner.
Yeah.
Is it people from the condos parking there, or?
It's typically like service vehicles during the day, like people that are doing work or cleaning or, repairing something. But the thing is, like, I mean, on the other side, like, there's still plenty of parking that's available.
Because the condo owners have like 2 parking spaces underneath per-
Yeah, I mean,
per unit,
sometimes I
so-
see, like, I live right there, which is why I pay attention. But, I mean, sometimes you'll see a resident park there. I mean, like, if they're running in or something, but I don't think that's usually the case. I think it's mainly, like, people coming to do work.
Are we going to establish then like a loading zone and right in front of the doors? Or is that off too?
I don't think we can. We talked about that, and that's a lot of times what it is. And those are 2 blind corners.
They are.
I mean, it's a game
They
of
are.
chicken when you go around that corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of space on the other side. Parking isn't at the same kind of issue in that area as we have in some other places in the village, so.
Yeah, that, and they don't have the cut-in, like
Right.
Jordan Park has got cut-ins, where if you're doing a bit of a drop-off, kind of a thing. So, yeah, I think this is a good idea.
Do we need a motion and a second to amend it,
Oh,
to say Madison?
okay. Yeah, I need a motion and a second to go to Madisonville Road.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Ms. Graves?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. York, okay, aye. All right, then I need a motion and a second to pass the thing.
So moved.
Second.
Well, I guess, yeah. Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Mrs. Graves?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. York?
Aye.
All right. Got to get over there and get those signs down.
The thing.
30 days, all right.
Are you done? Is that all yours?
I gotta amend the ordinance and change the parking schedules. So it'll take a while before it goes into effect. This is an emergency?
No, no.
No.
So we have to change the ordinance. in the
Schedules,
code
yeah,
book?
our parking has
Yeah.
schedules attached to it.
Just
so
got
I'll
one
have
left?
to
There is a section of the code book that has
amend
parking
parking
streets.
on West Street between Thorndike and
Madisonville.
Madisonville.
Yeah, Randy, almost have
to
everything
bring-
off.
yeah,
There's
we have
one.
to pass it.
One more, that's great.
I don't know that it'll be a clean docket for my next person, but I tried.
It's in.
Did great. I wish I could say
The streets that
that.
have no parking are listed in the code book.
Yeah.
So he's gonna have to
So
issue.
now I'm gonna have to put no parking on West Street between Thorndike and Madisonville, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Right, I mean, it's already no parking in that other section, so you might be able to just take what's there and extend it.
Okay.
Because there's no parking on the section in front of the elementary school either.
Very honestly, I don't remember where we amended it a couple of years ago to allow parking there, so maybe I didn't even change the schedule back then. You
I
know?
don't know that we spent a lot of time looking at that parking stuff at one point, and I don't recall that it.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah. All right, Tony?
All right, our last report from the Special Committee for Economic Development regarding next steps for investigating economic development of the industrial zone. The Special Committee for Economic Development, approved by Council on October 25th, 2021, met on Friday, October 29th, 2021, at 1:15 p.m. to discuss next steps for possible economic development of the Mariemont Industrial Zone. Present at the meeting were Council members Marcy Lewis, Randy York, Kelly Rankin, and Mayor Bill Brown. The group had met previously in 2 informal sessions with Ken Geis of Geis Consulting Group Limited. Mr. Geis had outlined various options to Mariemont to pursue economic development. The most promising of the options discussed was doing further research into Mariemont's industrial zone. Mr. Geis subsequently presented a proposal to investigate opportunities for the Mariemont industrial zone, see attached. Also, upon Mr. Geis's recommendation to acquire additional input, on October 6th, 2021, a different group consisting of council members Rob Bartlett, Kelly Rankin, and Randy York had met with Mike Hinnenkamp to investigate of the Ohio group to see if his organization could provide the same kind of service. Mr. Hinnenkamp explained that this type of consulting was not what the Ohio group could provide. Given his expertise and his experience and expertise in economic development, his familiarity with the Mariemont area in particular, and cost effectiveness of his proposal, Dr. Lewis, Mr. York, and Mrs. Rankin unanimously recommend accepting Mr. Geis's proposal. The Special Committee for Economic Development recommends that the solicitor prepare the necessary legislation, respectively submitted and signed by Marcia Lewis, Chairman, right?
I guess,
Or
yeah.
Randy York and Kelly Rankin.
All right, you've heard the report. I need a motion and a second to accept.
So moved.
Second?
Second, all right. Discussion?
Do we have the attachment that you note?
Yeah, it's
right here.
it's in the
Is
packet.
it, okay. I
It's in
didn't,
the packet.
okay.
It might be out of order, I'll have to look.
No, I'm just gonna,
And also,
I'm
I
gonna,
noticed a typo in the report. so-
okay, I'm just gonna attach it to this signed report.
Marcy, did you guys talk with Mr. Geis about the draft of that agreement that I sent y'all?
Not yet.
Okay.
We're waiting pending passing this
Pending
report.
approving this, and then I'll, okay.
So what, I didn't, is there, what's the cost? Is there a cost, is he doing, because we talked about maybe asking him to do it for free. I don't know if he was willing to do that, or, because I don't see a cost in here anywhere. I just didn't know.
Oh, he did, it was in the letter.
What he proposed to me, I can tell you, was 200 an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. 'cause
Yeah, it doesn't spell it out, it just says 12 hours, so.
yeah, 12 hours at $200 an hour
So that's
initially.
200.
And we had, I discussed with him, depending on on the size of a project, some things are more likely to be doing on a retainer basis, but this preliminary investigative work, it makes sense, it's most cost-effective to do it on an hourly basis. And there are other types of work, depending on what we would have him do, that we might have one contract for that piece or a different contract for the other piece. So.
I think there's some flexibility, you know what I mean, until he sort of, we want
Yeah,
to
yeah.
sort of get him
We're
started.
stepping into it, yeah.
Stepping into it and see how it
Well, yeah,
proceeds.
because I know he refers to a phase, this is phase one, and I didn't know, that was one of the other questions I had. Do we know, I guess this depends on what he comes up with, how many other phases there might be then, is
Well,
that right? or-
yeah, because here's the thing, it could be, wow, there's a great opportunity there, let's go for it. Or, no, not now. Or, there's nothing, okay? So depending on which of those it is in the industrial zone, that depends the course of action. If it's nothing, then we go to some of the other areas we identified as potential areas for economic development within Mariemont. So it's kind of an if-then, and that's why I asked him, it says in that follow-up letter on November 4th, to kind of go through some of those examples. Continuing current operations, enhancing the current operation through new investment, redeveloping the property. And, so that's, it's a flow chart where you don't have all the
Yeah.
answers yet.
Yeah. And there'll be some NDA signed and some other things that would have to happen, so, I mean, it's interesting talking about this in this form when, we're planning on doing things that, the market can be impacted. So, I'm comfortable with what he's doing and what he's gonna propose, and I think this will give us an assessment of what we have and what our options are or are not. And clearly from there, we can get a roadmap moving forward. So I'm very comfortable with what he's offering.
Yeah, I'm reasonable too, that it's very reasonable.
Well, yeah,
you know,
I'm just asking a question.
No, I know.
So do we have an example of his work? Because he's got his consulting group, so have we seen, because Randy, we've asked for examples of.
I've
other-
just seen the results of his work. I mean,
So like.
some of the Union Township stuff he's done, and it's just been,
Yeah.
I mean, I was very impressed with this guy.
I know Joe Stelzer was disappointed with me a couple weeks ago when I sang Mr. Geis's praises, but I've got to tell you, over the years, I've worked with him an awful lot. I mean, he is the gold standard on this kind of stuff in this state. He really is. And all I was telling Joe, I said, I'm just giving it because I have experience with working with him in the past. He's very, very good, and he would get my highest recommendation. Whatever he does, he's going to do it diligently, he's going to do it well. I can tell the council that.
And for a very reasonable cost.
Yeah, I don't think it's
Extremely
bad at all.
reasonable cost.
Yeah. So one of the things, so I don't have a problem with this. One of the things I would like to better understand though too is, Bill, you and I met with, and Joe did, with HCDC. I'd just like to understand what these pieces, how they fit together with some of the stuff. And then maybe if you guys could, as a group, meet with HCDC also? I mean, if you want to continue with this, that's fine.
I actually did pursue that with Bill, and I discussed that with Bill, and you had all met with him.
We had breakfast with her.
Well, that was 2 years ago plus, and so we didn't have any follow-up meetings. It was just an informational sharing meeting. It wasn't we didn't ask for a proposal or anything else. And so I think it behooves us to sit there and try and do the research just to understand. And I'm not saying instead of Ken Geis right now. It's just like, okay, if we want to have him do the assessment, that's great. But I think we owe it to the residents to also just check what do these other companies do, And is there overlap, or no, they do totally different things, and so we don't have to worry about it? I just don't know the answer to that.
Well, I did pose that question to Ken. Because I was expecting some questions along that line. And basically, he said, I'm kind of a last resort. People kind of come to me when other things have failed, or they haven't gotten what they needed. And I asked him specifically if he could, give me some examples of other people in the area who did his work. I looked on the Hamilton County Development website, and he basically kind of came back with me and said, I really can't think of anyone else. And he did initially recommend talking to Mike Hennenkamp, which you did do.
Right.
And that was at our initial meeting. So he did initially throw out, well, don't take my word for it. Here, talk to this guy. You all did talk to him. It was,
Right.
apparent that he doesn't do that kind of work, but they can dovetail. I did also ask him if he can do the strategic plan type of stuff, because I just wanted to see if he did that, the same kind of work that Hennenkamp does do. And he does do that. So, we're building some pieces, and,
Yeah.
we can meet with them if you want.
Yeah.
I just was trying to get this ball rolling because it's holding up your next step.
Yeah, so again, I'm all good with this, especially since this is just the first phase of it. But can I make a request you guys meet with HCDC at some point? Don't slow this down, but just.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's now or if that's phase 2, or, because my guess is what comes out of this is we have to make some decisions of what are we willing to do. I mean, because there's a lot of, my guess is there's going to be a lot of options down there. Do we acquire? Do we do this? Do we do that? And maybe that dovetails into HCDC in that meeting. But I think to have an assessment and an overall view of where we are, I think it can't hurt.
No, again, don't misunderstand me, Randy. I'm agreeing with you. Let's proceed with this. What I'm asking is, in parallel, can you set up a meeting with HCDC? So when you when you guys get the results back,
We're ready.
You'll be able, you have an understanding, just like what you were just saying. So what does HCDC bring to the table? And maybe it's nothing. Maybe we don't have any. Maybe it doesn't fit with whatever Ken comes up with the recommendation. I don't know. But I think, again, there's some different players out here in the marketplace that I don't know as much about, and it would be great if you could help educate us, at least me.
Could I ask then why, when you had initially met, I think this was before I was involved in council, I mean, at that time, you didn't really make any move to pursue anything with them.
Because we didn't have any plans or anything also at the time. So, they gave us a bunch of material, and we didn't do anything with it. So we said, okay, this is great, but we didn't have any plan. Like, you guys are going to start working with somebody to say, okay, here's the different options that might be available.
In part, though, Rob, if you remember correctly, it was also presented to us as a sales pitch. They were selling services, is what they were doing. And we weren't ready at that time to make any kind of a commitment to buy their services. And I don't even know whether we even talked price with them.
No. So this is, again, totally agree with you, Bill. And so I think it would be good for us just to re-engage, just to understand, and especially because you guys are doing this now with Ken, and so you would be the best position to say, oh, this is a good fit, or no, this doesn't fit, and that's fine. And start to say, what services is it that you offer, and how, what kind of things like that. So, I'm happy to give you whatever, they handed us stuff. I've got some of that stuff. I'm happy to give it to you. And again, not trying to slow this down. I totally agree with you.
I don't have a problem with meeting with them.
Totally agree with
I
you.
don't have a problem with that either.
So I totally agree with you, Marcy. We should get going on this.
And I'd
so
also
not,
like to, there was the lady who gave the presentation about all the historical grants, and remember we came in and approved her. I mean, I'd be interested to kind of get some more information to see what she does, and kind of start to build a map of, because.
Sure, yeah, I think that'd be great. The resources, about what kind of resources and what areas type of
Yeah, and
thing.
how they play.
Is this the same, is this the Amberley Village person, or is it somebody else?
Oh, no.
This is something different?
No, I already talked to the Amberley
yeah.
Village person, yeah.
Okay.
She's pretty much tight with Amberley Village. Well, she's still doing it for them.
Yeah, right.
Conflict of interest, yeah, I remember you said that, so.
Yeah.
No, this is some, she came in and she gave us a pitch, and we approved to, be able to apply for grants. They did a lot of historical, but I'll have to go through all the minutes and find it.
Yeah.
But I really like your idea, Marcy, about let's start to develop a list of resources and a better understanding
with the lady
who
from
does
HUD?
what for that kind of stuff.
The HUD rep?
Well, I think the guys could give
The
us
rep
a lot
from
of that,
HUD?
couldn't
He
he?
could too. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
okay.
sure hope so.
You have a better
Yeah,
memory.
they should be
Because
able to.
they do those
She's
mini
talking about
grants. that
the
can-
wrap, the wrap.
It was
the-
a HUD, it was a HUD.
It was a HUD.
Clear?
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So they've given us stuff about very specific, things we can ask for in those areas, so.
When does our first decision on that need to be made?
Well, they said potentially for the CDGB funds, it would be December, but they said that's flexible.
So we should
Yeah.
get that, okay.
Yep.
Didn't we, they got a new gal, or they got a new
Didn't-
person. Didn't we meet with them?
Yeah. Didn't I send you guys this reconnect meeting? No, I didn't do that yet. So, because remember, we captured
Oh,
the
yeah.
next steps? I had
Right.
the email, had all the next steps.
Right.
Your name was next to a couple things.
Really?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I underlined it.
This kid doesn't have enough to do.
All right. All right, so we're good here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Mrs. Graves?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. York?
Aye.
All right.
Okay.
We'll
Is
accept
that staying on? Is that coming off?
Well, Ed
It's
has got work
ongoing.
to do now.
Okay,
It's
so I'm just gonna
ongoing.
leave it on.
What was the
and-
question?
Well, you've got some.
I got, I know what I gotta
In
do.
progress.
Okay.
How about that?
All right, the resolution. Mr. Holloway.
Wait a minute.
Miscellaneous?
We have miscellaneous.
Oh, miscellaneous, did I forget miscellaneous? Why do I always forget miscellaneous? What do we got down there? Well, the leaf season is underway, which I'm sure you all know. And so far, they've been doing a really good job of it because there aren't that many leaves to keep up with. So I guess if you have any questions regarding that, you can call John. Well, the proposed sale of second ambulance, we've already discussed that. The village offices will be closed November the 25th and 26th for the Thanksgiving holidays. Yes, be very nice. A little break. Is that it?
No,
All right.
next page.
Council
There's two
meeting.
more.
All right. Oh, geez, that's
Christmas and
big.
New Year's.
Yeah. Who puts these things together?
Clearly not you.
The December council meeting will be Monday, December the 20th. That will be the only meeting that we have in the month of December, if y'all can bear it. And again, the offices will be closed Friday, December the 24th, and Friday, December the 31st for Christmas and the New Year.
It's on a Friday. Okay, you ready?
I guess.
All right, we have one resolution to confirm the appointment of Rod Holloway as village zoning officer to set compensation and to declare emergency.
Well, we're not going to do the emergency tonight, and this is just going to be the first reading, because we don't have enough people in attendance to do that. So this will be the first reading. We'll have the second reading next council. Ordinance?
Ordinance, first one's tabled, second one, an ordinance creating the position of village administrator.
All right, that's the third reading. So I need a motion and a second to
So moved.
adopt.
Robert, I think that'd be you.
I let Randy do that.
Did I have a second?
Yeah,
Yeah, second.
shocker.
All right. I'd love to open it up for discussion, but I won't. Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Mrs. Graves?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. York?
Aye.
All right, does that take care of the evening's business?
Two quick things. So, Kelly had put in an email about how you guys have your group, and so it doesn't follow underneath Finance Committee per se, the
Right.
stuff that we're doing. And I also think, Bill, so it was, because we said there's two special groups, and it's, Randy, Kelly, myself. So I'd like to take that out of finance, and I don't know where you want to put it. That's other special committee that was created on October 25th along with Marcy's committee, special committee. And so breaking that out separately, and I think that's also where this CDGB stuff would fit in as well, I think, in terms of that, because it's been some of the same people involved with those people from Hamilton County.
Yeah.
So it'd be two topics then underneath that committee.
Under yours or mine?
Mine.
Hand in
Under
glove with one
the
another, right.
special committees.
Yes,
Yeah,
correct,
special
correct.
committee. Okay, so are you
'cause we've had
good
those-
with this? You clear with that?
Well, this is what I asked you and you said no.
yeah.
So I'll probably have to go back because I wasn't at that meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was, again, there were two different committees set up,
It was October 25th meeting
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
so,
that we voted to do that.
yep.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I just want to get that
No,
clarified.
that's good. No,
so,
it's fine.
that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
stuff.
get that cleared up. Anything else?
I wanted to thank John and his team for the wonderful Town Crier article. I have my copy. I was hoping you'd sign it. And then, thank you, Rick. Chief, I've got, they'll be in the December issue, and then you guys across the Murderer's Row here.
We're working on
And
it.
Chris, where are you? So be ready. And Rod, you'll be there too.
When is the next deadline for submission?
Well, this will be for February, because they take January off, so I think it's, I don't know, January 10th. You got plenty of time.
You got a little time to get in the groove.
Then get your hair cut, get a clean shave, and do the whole thing.
Decide what a mistake you made.
But I appreciate everything you guys are doing for that, because I think I think the residents are really, I've had people comment to me about it.
No,
so.
it's, yeah, it's great information.
Either Rob or Bill, can you look into who you talked to at Hamilton County Development and
Well, like
get
I
me the
said,
contact?
I know I probably have got it
So I'm-
buried someplace.
so I'm
I know
not
you
starting
probably
from
can put your
scratch.
fingertips right on it.
Oh, for HEDC?
We
Yeah.
had
Okay, yeah,
paperwork.
I'll be happy
Yeah,
to.
we had
And if you
information.
want, I can give you, again, they gave us some fancy
Some
materials. I'm
handouts,
happy to go
yeah.
ahead and give that to you
Awesome.
guys as
Yeah,
well.
I'd like to look at that before I talk to them.
Yep.
Yeah, get refreshed.
Yeah,
All
because
right.
they do like 3 different things, and one of them is economic development, and one of them is like an incubator, and I can't remember what the third one is. So, 2 of the 3 don't really affect us per se.
But, yeah, we talked a little bit about that.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about. All right, we're adjourned.